The silver moons of Lycaria hung low over the temple of the howling stars, casting their pale light across the crystalline spires. Anna stood before the council of elders, her white fur pristine, her ceremonial robes flowing like liquid moonlight. She was the youngest high priestess in 3 centuries, blessed by the moon goddess herself, yet today she faced not reverence, but ridicule. "You have disgraced us all," Elder Morvax growled, his scarred muzzle twisted in contempt. "A human? You allowed a human to touch you?" The whispers spread through the assembled priestesses like wildfire. Anna's ears flattened against her skull, but she held her head high. She would not apologize for what her heart had chosen. "Kivan is not just human," she said, her voice steady, despite the trembling in her limbs. "He saved our colony when the Dreth invaded. He fought beside us when his own kind abandoned the sector. He is weak," another elder spat. "Humans are fragile, short-lived creatures. They have no fangs, no claws, no connection to the lunar cycles. What could you possibly see in such a primitive being?" Anna's golden eyes flashed. "I see strength that doesn't come from claws. I see courage that doesn't require fangs. And I see a future where our people don't die alone in their pride." The council erupted in outrage, but Anna had already made her choice. 3 moon cycles ago she had performed the rite of eternal binding with Kivan in secret, mixing their blood under the full moons, speaking vows that transcended species. The goddess had not struck her down. Instead, something miraculous had happened. She was carrying his children. Kivan stood outside the temple walls, his human hands clenched into fists. He could hear the raised voices inside, the howls of disapproval. His standard-issue military jacket hung loose on his shoulders. The patch of the Terran Defense Force faded from years of service on forgotten frontier worlds. He had killed for Anna. He had bled for her people. And still, they saw him as nothing, more than a clever animal, a pet that had overstepped its bounds. A younger wolf priestess emerged from the temple, her eyes sympathetic. "She defends you still, human," even as they threatened to strip her of her title. "I never asked her to sacrifice anything," Kivan said quietly. "Love rarely asks permission," the priestess replied before disappearing back inside. Kivan remembered the first time he had seen Anna. The Dreth warships had descended like locusts, their plasma cannons turning the outlying settlements to glass. His unit had been the only Terran presence in the sector, a forgotten garrison on a forgotten moon. They should have evacuated. Command had ordered it. But Anna had looked at him with those impossible golden eyes and said, "Please, we have nowhere else to go." So they had stayed. 23 humans against an invasion force. They had taught the Lycarians to use guerrilla tactics, to turn their natural speed and senses into weapons. They had held the line until reinforcements arrived, though only 7 of his soldiers survived. Anna had personally tended to his wounds after the final battle, her clawed hands surprisingly gentle as they stitched his torn flesh. That was when he had fallen in love with her, not despite their differences but because of the bridge they represented. 6 lunar months passed. Anna's belly swelled and the mockery intensified. The other priestesses avoided her. Pilgrims came to the temple specifically to whisper and point. Even some of the younger acolytes who once admired her now looked away in shame. But Anna endured. Kivan remained by her side, taking work as a security consultant for the colony, using his military expertise to strengthen their defenses. The Lycarians might despise him, but they couldn't deny his usefulness. Then came the night of the dual eclipse, when both moons darkened simultaneously, an event that occurred once every 50 years. Anna's labor began under that starless sky. The birth was difficult. Lycarian physiology and human genetics were never meant to combine. The temple's healers worked frantically, their ancient medicines mixing with Kivan's emergency medical training. For terrible hours it seemed they might lose her, but Anna was stronger than anyone knew. As the moons emerged from shadow, she gave one final shuddering howl, and 2 cries answered her. Twin sons, healthy, squirming, and absolutely impossible. The healer stared in shock. Kivan wept. and Anna, exhausted but triumphant, cradled her babies close. Each child bore the mark of their heritage. They had soft fur like their mother, but human-like hands with retractable claws. Their ears were slightly pointed, their faces a perfect blend of two worlds. But it was their eyes that silenced every critic who dared to look. One twin had his left eye golden like Anna's, his right eye human brown like Kevin's. The other bore the reverse, right eye golden, left eye brown. The heterochromia was perfect, symmetrical, impossible to dismiss as mere chance. The goddess had marked them, blessed them, proclaimed them sacred. Elder Morvax approached Anna's chamber 3 days after the birth, his pride wounded but his duty clear. The council had debated for hours. The signs were undeniable. Children, born under a dual eclipse with the mark of two worlds, were prophesied in the oldest texts. The bridge children, who would unite the stars. The council recognizes the goddess's will, he said stiffly. You are restored to your position, High Priestess Anna. And the human, Kevin, is granted full citizenship and the title of consort. Anna smiled, one twin at each breast. Tell the council I accept their wisdom, but tell them also this: my sons will grow up in a galaxy that judges souls, not species. They will be the first of many bridges, not the last. Kevin entered the room as the elder left, sitting beside his bonded mate. He gently touched each tiny head, marveling at what they had created. What will we name them? He asked. Anna looked down at her impossible beautiful sons. Auric and Aaron, strength and peace. They'll need both. Outside, the twin moons rose full and bright once more, and across the colony, young Lycarians and human settlers alike looked up at those moons and wondered for the first time what other boundaries might be crossed. In the temple archives, ancient prophecies spoke of the bridge children who would come when humanity reached the stars. Children born of love that should not exist, bearing eyes that saw two worlds as one. The prophecy said they would either unite the galaxy or tear it apart. Anna held her sons close and chose to believe in unity. After all, that was what humans did best, they hoped, even when hope seemed foolish. And perhaps that was the greatest gift Kevin had given her people. The stubborn, defiant, beautiful human refusal to accept that anything was impossible. The galaxy would learn what humanity had always known, that love was the strongest force in the universe, more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any empire. And it all began with a priestess who refused to be mocked, and a soldier who refused to abandon those who needed him.